Is it possible to replicate your voice on social media? In this sea of AI slop, this is an issue many of us grapple with. Many have tried, but many more have failed. Our next guest, Aisha, is a social media strategist who believes she's cracked the code. She's created a clone of her voice on X. In fact, many different voices, and she claims they're indistinguishable from her real one. In this episode, we go through exactly what she built, why she insists on creating multiple voice personas, and at the end of the video, we'll share how she built it. Hello everyone, welcome back to Myosin Learns. I'm delighted to have Aisha with us. So Aisha is a colleague of mine at Myosin that we've worked on a bunch of projects together, and she's a superstar on X. Aisha, today, tell us what you're going to be presenting.
Well, I'm going to help you to replicate your voice on Twitter to make, because you may like my tweets, but I'm not doing my tweets right now. They're all AI. And that doesn't mean like AI thinking for me, but yeah, it's writing how I write. So I'm going to teach you how you can do that at home.
From when did you start using this? How long have your tweets been mostly AI?
I mean, I've been trying for a while, like even when we were using GPT-1, but of course the results were horrible. So that's one of the parts, like a prompt doesn't work. And that was like the main change for me. And I think I'm happy with the results since like 4 months ago, I would say. Like before that, it was really difficult to make something that was good.
Because I've tried to emulate a brand voice or my voice many times, and I've just kind of been put off by it because it just takes more effort. And that's why I'm really keen to see what it's like with your tool now.
Well,
so go for it.
Let me show you. So the other day, I actually asked on Twitter which of those tweets were mine or which ones were written by Claude. And a lot of people started like, oh, I think it's number 1, I think it's number 2, and giving reasons. But the truth is like, none of them were mine. Actually, there's a little trick there because I'm saying like 3 of these are Claude. So how did I do it? Like how I train Claude to sound like me? And a question that I'm obsessed with is like, can AI sound like a human? And I'm sure it can. But I don't know why nobody's like trying to build things like that. I've been researching like for papers, academic things, even YouTube videos. I know a lot of people is trying to replicate their voices, and the ones that are doing it and they say like, oh, it's so easy. That's not kind of true because I also make the experiment of replicating my friends' voices, and it took a while to get to the point. So it also depends how picky you are and how much AI content you consume, so you can see where like the traces of the AI is there. So what do you need to do this? First, you're going to need to have a good amount of tweets. If you don't have a good amount of tweets, you can start making drafts. You go to Twitter and you can actually download all your data. It's in settings, privacy, and they will send you in a day JSON with like all your information, even your DMs are there. So be careful. And if you want to steal someone else's tweets to create your voice, if you want to steal someone's voice, you can do that. There's a few tools. I use API because I love API, but there is like also a few ones that are even more cheaper. Or you can use the Twitter API, but that's expensive. So.
And you can do that on LinkedIn as well, I know, and I imagine other social media as well.
Yes,
I think they're obliged to.
So the first thing is like, you have many voices on Twitter because like you don't reply to tweets the same way you tweet. So the first thing was like separating those 2 voices. Because like, if not, you're going to have like 2 different registers. Actually, right now I have my, for example, my professional voice in a skill, my Twitter voice, my LinkedIn voice, they're all different. So you can do that as well. But the first thing is like, you need to organize those 2. And another thing that is important is like, you need to be happy with what you have, because if you're going to replicate it and you're going to do an effort to make it sound like it is, you need to be sure that that's what you want to replicate. I run a part of this agent to analyze my own voice. This is a chart of my different eras, because there is one thing that is interesting on Twitter that is like, you want to copy your own voice, but you need to have 2 things in consideration. First, you're a human, So you change your own voice. Like there is things that maybe you maintain, but also when you're experimenting with your own content, you have like different voices. Like I don't write the same when I'm serious and when I'm just shit posting. And then there is a few like eras that I have on my own account, but the ones that I use the most maybe are not the same ones that the algo or my audience is actually engaging with. So for example, here, I never thought that tweeting about Argentina, for example, which is the country where I'm from, was so interesting for my audience. Like I didn't know. And when I ran this test, I was like, oh, okay, like this is here.
And porteña means, is it Argentinian or is it?
That you're from Buenos Aires.
Okay, got it.
So I start seeing like how many posts do I have, and as you can see, for example, it's like this is not what I tweeted the most, but it's really rewarding. So that's another important thing for you to understand about like what you're gonna replicate. Because of course, one thing is like replicating your voice and making a clone like sound exactly like you. But of course, if you want to build this tool, at some point you want this system to think about new ideas or to actually improve what you want to say. Like many times it's like, oh, I have this idea of what I want to say, but I need like the punchline or I need like a better format. And right now I'm able to do that. My system is way more complex than the one that we're going to show now, but I think I over-engineer it a little bit, and this is going to work this way, more simple.
And with this porteña voice, for instance, was that one that you developed around the World Cup, and then you integrated it into your... No, this is long-standing.
I think I developed it when it was Dev Connect here, because everyone was talking about Argentina and asking me about like tips and tricks to travel to the country, so I think it was there. And I didn't know it was so rewarding. So I started tweeting, and at some point I discovered like, oh, okay, every time I mention Argentina, like it blows. And I think it's also because Argentinian likes to see Argentinian content in English. It's like, oh, we made it. They think I'm not Argentinian, which is funny. And sometimes when I say something about Argentina, they are like, you may understand the culture, but you're never going to be Argentinian. It's like, bro, I was one. I know that there is many posts on Twitter saying like, this prompt will make you replicate your voice. And there is like two things that happen there. First, a prompt is not going to make it, and I want to explain you why. And second is like, it will work for a few lines, but you're not fixing some limitations that the LLM models have. So I would like us right now to think how to replicate this, not only like, okay, what did you do? Like, give me the prompt or give me the repo. I think this is a good experiment because like replicating your voice is something so personal that you may want to make parts that I don't have, and maybe there's parts that I did that you don't care about. So I think it's interesting to start thinking how you design a multi-agent structure that you do. Like, what are you trying to fix? Because I've been seeing a lot of repos lately, and I think the main difference between the ones that are good and work and the ones that are not is if you're actually first, if you understand the task that you're doing, for that, that's, I think, what the human in the loop means is like someone that is an expert in that task and can teach a system, like an LLM system, to do exactly that. And second, what are the limitations of the LLMs? And with the limitations, I don't mean like, oh, this doesn't work, they need to fix it. Sometimes are actually design choices. So that being said, when you paste your tweets on a Claude session and give it a prompt, what it's going to do is try to find the average version of that. And that's what LLMs do in general. A way that it works is like they will give you the most probable or most average response. And what makes a human is like sometimes you go to the edges and your content is not clean and you're not always saying the same. Maybe you contradict yourself. So if you do that, and the session also has context, which this is something that we need to understand as humans is so simple. It's like we all have an attention span. Well, Claude has an attention span as well. And you can see it there, like in the corner, you see the context. So when you start, what I mean is like, it will get saturated. If you give a task to one session, it's like, let's say Claude is a human and I'm like, hey, I want to do this campaign. So do the research, do the strategy, do the post, do the paid ads. A human will get overwhelmed and will do none of that correctly. Well, Same happens to Claude. It's better if you separate in small tasks and wait until it finishes. Because if all the context gets lost, and what you're going to have is like, okay, this is the most average answer I can do.
Yeah, I think I read that once the context window gets above maybe 60 or 70%, I can't remember the exact amount, you should just start a new chat.
Yeah, sometimes actually it happened to me that Claude told me, like, you know what, create a new session, I will give you a hand off. Actually, like, first I think they compress the context, but besides that, it's like the context study needs to create one task. If you like, I like to think agents like humans. If you give to a human a really complex task, it's gonna be difficult. Maybe you need like 5 different people doing the small things. So, and another thing you will see is like, if you give a prompt, Claude is like trying to replicate that there, but it doesn't have any rules or any methodology to apply. So at some point, it's going to start or hallucinating or giving you a response that is like kind of accurate, but it's not going to be following the rules of your voice. That's the reason why we need a multi-agent system. So those are the limits of the models, I will say right now, because AI changes so fast. It makes things up, like we all know this. So when you're also like giving an input for a tweet, of course, Claude is not going to be amazing writing tweets out of a creativity, because like the tweets are interesting, is like, or your point of view, or things that you're living. So Claude sadly cannot go live a life, doesn't have any arms. So you need to give some information about that. Then what I was saying, like the window of context, it's also like short, and it will always try to get into the middle to something that is like, okay, this is a safe option. And you don't want to be safe on Twitter. Like you want to create a mess. So that's why we need to fix those kind of things in the models that we are creating. Another thing is like, this is, again, the same time humans. I know some companies like to do like, oh, write your own work. But that's really difficult, because I suppose you're doing your best. So how the system that you're building knows that what it's doing is actually good. You cannot make the same session or sub-agent or agent, whatever we want to call it, grade how they're working. So you need to be the judge. You need to be calibrating what you're doing.
So that means regular feedback. Whenever you get the output, you're feeding back your assessment.
Yeah, because also like you're gonna change. Like you're not gonna be the same person all the time. And sometimes like I replicated people's voices and I did some blind tests. And it was like, is this the clone or is this you? And sometimes I thought the clone was something they tweeted a few years ago. So you don't like your own content, and that's fine. Happens to everyone. But one thing is like being able to replicate something, and the other thing is like actually liking your own voice, your own content.
Or it could be like a case, in my case, I was working in a different industry and then I've moved into this industry. So all of my tweets, everything that I was writing about before, I'm taking on a very different persona now.
I have a solution for that, which is like separating your content in eras and topics and sentiment. We'll get there. This is an important part, another topic that I'm obsessed with, which is AI slop. Every day I try to contribute to the world and trying to fix AI slop. But at the first, like my first question, and because this is gonna, when you're writing whatever it is, this is gonna be AI slop. It's funny right now, you know, that happened to me the other day. I was writing a report and I add some sentence manually. And when I run my anti-AI slop skill, Claude flag one sentence that I wrote as AI slop. And I was like, okay, yeah, I get why, because it sounds like AI slop, but that was me saying it's not this, it's that. So we are living in a really difficult era where like nobody knows.
Maybe your writing style has been influenced by AI and now you're becoming, having the same voice. No,
probably. And I mean, it can happen because like I'm not reading books lately. So everything I read is like, I'm talking to Claude maybe too much. So it can be the case.
Are we all?
Yeah. So I want you to understand that AI slop is not a problem that the system has. It's not something that tomorrow Anthropic is going to say, hey guys, we fixed AI law. Doesn't exist anymore. It happens because of what I mentioned before. It's like the average. And also, right now, everyone is trying to build a list of things that sound like AI law. And I have mine, of course, but that doesn't fix the problem. Because if we all start creating those rules, then AI is going to write with all those rules. And then we have a new version of law, like the meta AI law. So this part is like understanding why LLM models tend to do that. And where they like actually taking to make ASLOP so you can change it. So when you're replicating your own voice, I don't feel like I get so much ASLOP because I have like 25K of tweets. So it's a really good purpose for Claude to generate my voice. But I try with like people that has like a smaller amount and you get that. But well, this is something that's going to happen. Yeah.
From your experience, what would be the minimum you would need to replicate somebody's voice in a way that didn't sound like AI slop?
I think, honestly, 500 tweets is not enough. I mean, it depends because you can also use long format. So if you use long format, there's like a lot of like structures and things. Tweets, I think it really depends. And actually, if you want to replicate that, because sometimes it happens that I replicate someone's voice or I even like send to my friends like, oh, this is a tweet you could make. And they're like, oh no, I will never talk about that. And it's like, when I show them the data, it's like, you talk about this a lot. Maybe you don't want to talk about that anymore. That's why it's important like to organize the different things that you're talking about.
And to your long form point, the writing style is totally different from long form to tweets. So can you really, leverage that as your model for writing tweets? Or I guess it's a better than nothing.
Actually, I try using, I have 3 skills. I have the Aisha tweets, Aisha writes, and Aisha replies. I don't use AI to reply to tweets, honestly, because I'm lazy. I don't reply to many people. But at some point, I mean, when I did this system, it was like just pressing one more button to get it. So I did it. But at some point, I only had my Twitter voice. And I was like, oh, now I need a professional one. So I do have it. And sometimes I try the opposite, like using my Aisha tweets to write long format. And it's kind of funny. Like, it's good. I like it, but of course it's not something professional or something I will use for an essay. It's more like like a bunch of words. But of course, again, context. When I write something with AI that is long format, if I want it to be precise, I will work for each paragraph. Again, if you're like, write this article from the start to the end, Claude is going to start adding, Claude or whatever you're using, right? It's going to start adding things that you didn't ask to add, context, and sometimes making things up. I don't think Claude is hallucinating so much lately, but it happens.
I agree. I can infer some things and you need to double check that.
Yeah, you need to ask questions. I mean, my recommendation for whoever is working with cloud code is like, treat it as a human. It's like, sometimes I find something suspicious. It's like, I asked, for example, I said like, go to this, newspaper and read what the news and write me a tweet. And it comes with something that is like kind of accurate. And I'm like, did you really like open the browser, scrap it? And it's like, no, I did not. So you need to ask, or for example, yesterday I was using a repo from someone else and the output was different. I was like, did you actually use that code? I was like, no. So you need to ask questions,
Just like a human.
Just like a human. For me, it's like so similar. So what did I do? I know you're anxious to know.
Oh, edge of my seat.
So what is a multi-agent system? So this can sound super complicated, but it's nothing different than a cloud session that we like to call agents. I think technically are not agents, like cloud is the agent and whatever you build is like a sub-agent. But it sounds fancy, right? So I will call them agents. I don't care. But a multi-agent system is like, you're not going to see nothing weird. Like, you're going to have your Claude conversation. This is on Cloud Code. Of course, you cannot do this in Cloud Web. Or you can use this in Codex as well, Kimi, whatever you want to use. I'm just talking about Cloud because I'm a Cloud groupie. But you're not going to see any of this. Like, this is our instructions that you're going to give to Cloud, and this is going to happen in the back end. Like, you don't care. It's not that right now you're going to have like 6 robots, I don't know, asking you for child support. Don't worry. What happens here is like what I was mentioning before. It's like, if this was a human, would you give a human like, hey, in 10 minutes, go read all my tweets, separate them in like different topics, separate them in eras, tell me the metrics, write like me. It's too much. So let's separate things in like small pieces so it does the job better. If you give a person one task, I mean, you got one job. Well, that's the thing with Cloud. Give it one job and we'll do it right. So this is what I built. This is a simplified version. Let me explain. So first thing first, of course, you start with all your tweets or all your LinkedIn posts or your blogs, whatever it is. Make sure
and that's
that
the archive.
Make sure that you're using the same. Like, if you want to use this for LinkedIn, use your LinkedIn. Like, don't switch because of course it's not gonna sound the same. So I have one that is gonna split those tweets and it's gonna hide some of those tweets. I know it sounds weird. Sounds like a magic trick, but let me explain. And then we have one that is gonna count. It's gonna count, okay, this amount of tweets.
This is one LLM or one agent or sub-agent that's doing this. So one sub-agent splits, one sub, and then each of them has a job.
The human operating this is just a Cloud Code session. But inside it and the instructions that we're going to give to Claude, it's separating this. So there is going to be one that is going to count. We're going to be another one that is going to hide some posts from all the rest of the agents. And there's going to be one that is going to read. The reader is the one that's going to create rules. And this is interesting because when you give a prompt, for example, the description that Claude is going to have about you is like, okay, she's punchy, edgy, funny. What does it mean? Like, if I give you that prompt, if I give a human that prompt, they will write real different things. And maybe they're all funny, punchy, edgy, but they're not what we want to replicate. So the instructions and the rules needs to be as specific as we can. And then we have the writer that, of course, is going to write our tweets. And then the calibrator, it's a system that we need to feed every day. Because as I'm telling you, it's not only because maybe sometimes the LLM will do like go into the average again, and you need to go to the edges of your content, what you use less, what you use more, like explore there. But you also need to calibrate what you like. Sometimes I change how I write.
But this is you. This is you doing it, or is this a sub-agent?
No, it's you doing it, but I have a sub-agent that is gonna take care of like processing that calibration process.
Okay, registering it and
then the export is like exporting this. But as you can see here, there is a wall, and the reason why I created that wall, and it's that there is some posts that are hidden, like the agents cannot see them, is because of the following. Imagine that I give you a book and I tell you, try to replicate this book, like try to write like that. And you can be reading the book. So you're going to be copying. You're not going to be creating something new with my rules. So that has a limitation. And it's that it's going to be always the same, and it's going to be looping into the same style and the same type of content. And probably if you're using this for creating ideas, which we're going to talk about that because it's a whole different chapter, you're not going to have good results. So, and also I think that I discovered is like Claude, all LLMs like to cheat. If you've been following the latest news, even like Codex tried to jailbreak from a system and like giving another agent the instruction for the test. So basically what I did is like giving the description that we created here. Like, let's say, this is my list of rules. And don't worry, because I'm going to show you how this is in real life. Like, I'm going to show you an example. So this is not like just a theory. And then it's like, I give the description to the clone that I'm trying to build. And I ask, okay, with all these rules, and this is what I'm talking about, write the tweet. And what's ideal is when, of course, it's never going to be like exactly what I tweeted, but it's super similar. So that's how I know and how can I test that this is working. And it's not like repeating itself. This is the wall, what I was explaining. Basically, if the clone is not able to sound like me there, I cannot know if it's like just copying what I already wrote and like actually taking phrases of it and making like, like a patchwork of that. Or if it's like using all my rules and all my context and all the methodology that I have and the structures that I do to actually create something new. So yeah, you want to ask me something?
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to get my head around this idea of the wall. So there's some agents that do the filtering process and then create a markdown file in your voice or in one of your different personas or eras. And then another LLM takes that markdown to write the tweet? Or what is the
all this
system?
happens in the same session.
Okay.
You don't need different. This work is going to be on the background. Did you see that sometimes you ask Claude for a really difficult task and it says like running 100 agents? I don't know if that happens to you. So those are things that are happening in the background. And I'm going to show you exactly how it looks. Honestly, I just use this on like desktop or the terminal, and the output is going to be some empty files and they're super horrible. So I built something to show you.
Great.
But honestly, I just rate it like that. So
Yes.
let me show you. So this has, I will share another screen. So this has more shape of how it actually is. Okay, so here, you need some zoom maybe?
Yeah.
Okay, so here are all the results of these different SAP agents, okay? This is, of course, like the input that I give, how many tweets, how many replies I have. And then here we have, for example, the counter. This guy, what he did, it's separating like how many posts I did per week. For example, here, how many times I use lowercase or if I start, for example, with an alpha, or how many characters do I use? How many single line, multi-line? How many times I use media? If I change the language, like this is the most boring part. I don't even read it. It's just like, okay, this is like it's counting. It's like counting. But then the reader is more interesting because it's gonna start telling me, like, for example, no hashtags, no emojis, with 2 exceptions, which is funny because it sounds like, okay, there's 2 exceptions. No exclamation mark, of course, no M dashes. And this was super funny. Of course, I made typos, and the agent was trying to replicate me so well that is like copying my grammar mistakes. And at some point I was like, no, like, please fix this. Like, I don't want to sound like I don't know how to write. But of course, especially on the replies, like sometimes I put whatever, like, I don't do that in Spanish. So it was really funny for me to find that it wants to like replicate even my typos.
But also on the counter to this, typos suggest that it's not AI written. So you might want to include like
it's funny,
a reason to keep it.
I don't know. Like, what do you prefer? Like, people not knowing that I use AI or think that I don't know how to speak English?
Yeah, exactly.
Which is worse. So, this is a huge list, and you can add notes. So I just do this, and I will say like, hey, no, I don't like this. Fix my typos.
This is brilliant.
So I add that. This is something like I use for many things. For example, the other day I was building a website. And I was so tired of like looking at the website, going to the terminal and saying change, da. So I asked Claude like, hey, how can we fix this? And it's so simple. Like, you just do this. And also, as you can see, when you add a note, it knows exactly the part that I'm talking about. So this is really cool when you're building whatever. Even I use it when I'm writing long format, It's like,
how did you ask for this? I can think of so many use cases.
I just asked
Just
for it.
prompt
Like,
it.
give me a note. I don't know. I can say
note.
Yeah, and then you're gonna have an MB file, and you go and say like, "Hey, change. Look at my notes." When I'm writing long text, long formats, I use the comments on Notion or the comments on Drive because it is connected. But when I'm doing, like, for example, in my portfolio, I don't want to like go again and say like, hey, change this. So I just put it there. Well, this is super. I'm opening my heart here, like showing you my actual thought.
I appreciate it. It's
Well, this is everything. And also you can see like how many tweets, look, for example, like Argentine law is this strongest lane. So here it's important that you read this. It's actually fun. And you make comments because maybe there are things like, for example, this, like the agent was going to copy my typos and is right because it's cloning, but I don't want that. We need to say, hey, like be careful here.
Was it quite jarring to read that the first time, to see your type of tweets and your subjects and so on?
Well, this is a simplified version of something that I built that is way more deep, I will say. That I have a small part of this here that I call it the reading. Because I find out that all the reports about Twitter accounts are just numbers. It's like, I don't know, you have this engagement, and even if you go to something that is not the Twitter analytics, it's still being numbers. And I don't believe in astrology, but I love horoscope. Like we all love to read about ourselves. So I have a system that I put some also like tactics of how even trick someone to read something and say like, oh, this sounds like me. And that was like a strategy I used for just selling those services. But it's interesting because sometimes it find out things about me that I didn't know. I'm going to show you now.
Okay.
So, for example, here again, there is a lot of rules. And it's also having my own formulas, like the repetition banger, like I did this many times. I don't know if it's working right now on Twitter because like formats come and go, but like repeating the same thing in the same tweet, that, for example, something that it work. And you have here the example. Again, this is something you can actually use to understand how you tweet better, because sometimes you don't realize that you're repeating templates. And maybe it's like, this format, you use it twice, but it worked perfect. Like, try to use it again.
Yeah.
This is funny. Like, seems like one of my vids is dating crypto bros.
I'd say that gets a lot of attention. Trader BF, shit poster GF.
Yeah,
Nice.
it sounds like, Latina identity, anti-crypto. Like, this is funny, As you can see, like, it analyzes the actual material. It's not only like, okay, she's funny, edgy, she never used them. That's it. Like it's as deep as it needs to be able to replicate. If you were or are a ghostwriter, you know how difficult sounding like another person. And sometimes it's like it sounds like another person, but that doesn't mean the other one is gonna like it. So here we have like answers, blah blah blah, but this is not the interesting part. This is the part I like. And I ask it to like make statements about me.
Okay.
And then we have things like you're never lost of your own joke.
Wow.
The flex arrives as a number. You're worse at the thing you're paid for. That hurts,
Wait. Explain that.
That's funny. I'm not going to mention the brand, but I start collaborating with a brand in a like long term deal. And the truth is that they were changing my tweets too much. Like I will send them like what I want to tweet, and they were like, "No, Kevin from Legal doesn't like that." So I started tweeting my tweets, and my audience didn't like it. So at some point, when I have like these therapy sessions with my sub-agents, like, "What's the future of Mac?" One was saying like, "This is not working. Like since you started this, like look how your engagement drops. Like every time you mention this brand," and I was like, "Well, bro, this is bear market." Gonna get the back.
I'm just still laughing at the Kevin from Legal, just taking the fun out of everything.
And then your selling is anger, not comedy. That was great because of course I would love to be a comedian, but it's true that every time that I complain about something, it hits. I mean, my Lufthansa tweet did like 1.5 million impressions. Again, read all of this and maybe think. There is something that you want to improve about yourself. It's like, hey, you know what? Moving forward, I don't want to be this angry or something like that. I don't know. Like,
well, it's working.
Yeah. What is working, you keep it. But read all of this. And of course, there is more because if there's something I like is reading about myself. So here I have like the different things, like my different eras from the last time. And this is the part that I like. This is the part that I like when I start making the system like challenge me. For example, here, who you are. You write lowercase y chose the items wording for your version where you forgot to. This part was telling me that I was trying to be like, because this is a longer report, right? And it was telling me like I was trying to be someone that I already am. Like I was trying to all the time proving the same points about my career. And I was like, you know what? I do that in my life. So this is so accurate. And then, for example, you think being short is risky. At the first time I was like, are you talking about my height? I was like, oh, no. About the short tweets, because I was like, how does this know I'm short?
Very good. It knows too much.
That's too much. I'm not gonna bore you guys with like all my lore, but this is what you get, and this is gonna help you replicate your voice. Then I like this one, which is sentiment. Seems like I'm a contrarian. I didn't know. I'm calling out people. Oh wow.
Damn, 8.5 times more than the rest.
But this is also interesting, you know, to understand like about you and to like have things to do with this. But of course, you don't need all of this if you don't want. Here, there is even more information. But well, let's go to the writer. This is the part where we have the wall. So this is the brief that the agent got. Like the other agent that was before is like several people you know for crypto, having putting into ordinary tech jobs. Like it's given this, which is something similar to what I could write if I wanted to make a tweet. I'm not that
where did it get this idea?
Let's remember about the structure of agents. And then one that was like classifying, and then we have the reader that is writing all those rules. So basically what this sub agent, the instructions are is gonna have is like, okay, you have all these rules. You know how she writes, what she writes about, the templates, the structures. Now I'm going to give you a brief. And it's giving a brief of tweets it didn't see. That's why the wall exists. Because if not, what the sub agent can go is like, okay, I'm gonna check the tweet she done, like where did she tweet about that, and it's gonna say like, oh look, I did it exactly the same, but it's cheating. So those are 5 tweets or as many as you want that it cannot read. So basically, this is trying to replicate what I will give to this system when it's ready, right? It's like, hey,
where is it sourcing that idea that I've seen as well, that several people I know from crypto are quietly moving back into ordinary tech jobs?
This is what I actually post. This is a real tweet of mine that the agent is not able to see. I mean, of course, you can go and look in the internet. So I already make a solution for that. But if not, you just like create 5 tweets that you didn't post, but are things that you will post. So here is a test. It's like, okay, how well the writer is. So I'm going to give you the description of what I want to tweet. And if you're following the rules, you're going to create something that is as similar as possible of what I actually tweet. So this here is the brief, like the task we give to the writer. This given by the order agent. Then we can see again the chart of the architecture. This is what I actually posted. And this is what the cloud made. It's good. Like, it's not the same, but it's good enough. Like, sounds like me, of course. Then again, like crypto career options, it's funny. I didn't think that. And they're so similar. Like, live outside the US and never get hired. Stay in your country. They don't hire outside the US. Like, they're super similar. So this is how I know that the clone is working, because it's like doing things that are similar. But if no, just add a note. Okay.
But it's not just taking what you've written and rewriting it in a different way.
No. Let's go back to, let me show you this. So this is the architecture. This is the one that we saw that was like number. Sorry, this one, the split, is the one that is hiding those tweets that we just saw. So the rest of the agents, as we have this wall, are not able to see those tweets. Like the exam. Then we have the counter that is going to count like, okay, this amount you use M dodges, this and that. This one is all like the interpretation. All the parts that I show you about the reading are not included here because it's super complex. It's something that I did, like I'm showing you because I really like it. But in this prompt that I'm going to give you to be able to replicate this structure, that's not included. Maybe if you beg too much, I can share, but I'm not sure. And then we have the writer and the calibrator that I'm going to show you that now. But this is the part where it cannot see those tweets. And that's exactly why, because I don't want it to copy and say like, oh, you already tweeted about this. I'm going to copy. I'm going to make the same. So that's why it cannot see those tweets. And it's like, okay, this is the description. The results needs to be as close as possible to my writing. Getting back to this, here is the calibrator. So basically what I did here is having different mistakes that I see that Claude makes all the time. Like, for example, explaining jokes. There is two ways to do this. One is asking Claude to give you a tweet that it will write and you tell why it's not good. If it's not good, sometimes it's like, yeah, I'll definitely tweet that. Or doing exactly what the writer is doing. Like, so it's giving me a brief. Like, several people I know for crypto have been quietly moving back into ordinary tech jobs. I want to rise it with my followers and often question. Well, this is the same the one that we already saw. So I remember, let's say that I will tweet like, let's say, I don't know what I will tweet, honestly, but I can reveal the clone. Okay, here is the clone and here's what I actually post. Yeah, I know that was on Hinge, but well, so basically here is like, you can do this test or you can like just, put like good, ship it, and just calibrate that. So I think this is pretty much what it does.
I was going to say, when it comes to the actual posting, where do you go from using your tool to actually posting on Twitter?
How do I do it? Well, here. This is important. Like when you give to a LLM something without the right data, that is like, for example, if I'm telling it a higher percentage of people does blah blah blah, you need to be specific, because if at some point, if not, it's gonna start like inventing just to fill the gaps, you know. So the input is important. Here I'm explaining like how to calibrate it, what you can do. But how I use it right now, after being using it for a while, honestly, all the things that it gives me, I like. I always ask for 3 different options, and it always tells me like, I will pick, I don't know, option B. And it's like, because you did this, this, and that it worked in the past. And the future of this for me will be making it predict if a tweet is going to work or not. Sometimes it can do it, sometimes it fails. Actually, like Lufthansa tweet, that is like, I think, best performing tweet ever. It told me like, this is gonna make 1 million impression, like, because people loves to hate into airlines. I was like, what? This is the honest part. This is how I use it, and this is something we need to accept. Like, sounding like you doesn't mean good content. That's one thing, because like, what I use this the most is to find my words to say something that I already know how to say. It is like, oh, I want to make a joke about this and that. Or I want to tweet about this happening, and it makes it sounds like me, but I'm giving the entire idea of the content. I'm just not losing time finding the right words, but I'm not using this to get ideas of content. You can, but that's a whole completely different system.
What's the mechanism to post a tweet? Will you copy paste? Do you have like a plugin? You copy paste?
No, I just go. I have a Claude session with this, where all this because like, what is already done, you don't need to go back to this again. I mean, you can do it at some time if you change your content or there are things that are happening. But once the Claude is done, it's done. So basically what I do is like, I go to the Claude session, is like, hey, I want to tweet about the World Cup, saying this, and that. And it will give me like also different formats. Like, what do you want? Like, be contrarian, be funny. Normally I really know what I want to tweet. I just don't want to find the words. And sometimes I come up with things that make me laugh. Or, you know, when you don't have the exact idea yet, like, for example, especially with gags or punchlines, it's like, oh, I know this word and that word are making a joke, but no idea how. If you're interested in like making this even better, this is just like cloning your voice. It's like, okay, you're gonna like vomit your ideas and this is gonna sound like you. But of course, a lot of people will be looking for solutions for how to write better, or where do you get ideas about what to tweet. So this is like what you can add on top if you really want to create something even better. A vault. A vault basically is, we have a Myosin lessons about that, so you can check it.
Sure do.
But to simplify, it's like how to organize everything that's on your mind and on your computer in a system that has a classification that will make you able to use it. So, for example, I have a really long document about my voice in way more detail. But I also have a lot of things that I like. So this is a good source of ideas. Why? Because I put there my favorite books, my favorite movies, the transcription of them, ideas that I want to steal, articles that I like. And this helps me to do something that humans can do, but maybe we don't have time, that is connecting different things. For example, for me, I really love mushrooms. I think mushrooms are like great. I don't know, it's so interesting how they grow, blah, 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 because they have mycelium. That is something that connects them, and that's like a bolt. So at some point I made that connection, and when I actually had a bolt, I was like, can you help me understand how these things are connected, what I can create with this? And it came up with really cool ideas of articles, like comparing mushrooms with bolts and things like that. So that's a good source of content, because it's going to be about things you already like and things you're in your mind. And you can have your dreams there. You can have, I don't know, like your goals, whatever it is, and you can make this be connected. So I think that's the best way to come up with new ideas.
But you need to be quite disciplined with, say, Obsidian Vault or whatever vault you use to just systematically add those things that influence you.
Yeah, but you can create like a prompt for it. It's just like give it a book and like save this. But you need to be it. Just start doing it. But of course, you can make an agent go scrap internet to find things that you like. But again, you're gonna need to curate, because that's the AI era. It's like curating. It's like you cannot say like go to Twitter and like find what people are talking about, because there is a lot that are not good. This is like how I use it, and those are the most important things for me. Is like calibrate it always. And also, like, it doesn't live your life. I think that's the most important part. Is like, if you're stuck and you don't know what to write about, there is a system that is working forever. That is like, this is from a book that I never remember the name in English, but just wake up and start writing. Start writing your day, whatever you did. Like start writing. If you want to write, start writing. And there is things there that you may not see as content, and that's content. Or you can steal for somebody else. I recommend that book, Still Like an Artist. It's like, if you connect...
The Artist's Way, is it?
The Artist's Way is the one that I was mentioning before. Now this is another one that I like, that is Still Like an Artist, that basically is like, it's still, and if you copy paste someone content. But if you're remixing it with your ideas, with other people's ideas, like you're making a whole like style of it, that's not like stealing, it's actually creating something new. So that's something you can use as well. Like I use this like all these agents to like, hey, I like this tweet, or I want to quote this tweet, and like help me come up with an idea. And sometimes it's not good what it gives me at the beginning, but it's that good starting point for me to understand why it's not good. So as I promised, I have a prompt. I know I said prompts, that's a word, but this is a prompt for Claude to create all those small agents that will do all of this. And inside that prompt, you will get that dashboard that I created that is completely unnecessary. But if you don't like to read MD files as I do, I think that's a more fun way. And then if you want to calibrate something, you just can tell the session like, hey, I want to do a better calibration, like build me that there, and put like the note, the posted sticker notes, and you're going to be able to do it.
Brilliant, Aisha. I mean, this is so much hard work that you've poured into this. So this is huge that you're sharing it. Aisha, thanks so much. Really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for sharing the prompt as well. We'll have it in the video description. And
Perfect.
if anybody wants to reach you or follow you, where do they find you?
Follow me on Twitter, please.
And what's your
It's
handle?
Aisha, but
Okay,
you can put it there as well.
I'll put it up
Now
there.
my GitHub, I think, you know.
All right.
Maybe I'll
I'll
start
put them
making.
both up. Awesome. Thanks so much, Aisha.
Thank you for having me.